Birds of Prey. After splitting with the Joker, Harley Quinn joins superheroes Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya to save a young girl from an evil crime lord. The film is directed by Cathy Yan and written by Christina Hodson. The film's leads are Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn and Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya. So, for your information, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a mullet-style review, meaning that the first portion of this video will be a movie review and the second portion will be spoilers. But don't worry, I will notify you as I go along with this video. So, Birds of Prey. I have to say this. I think that Margot Robbie, I feel as if she's always given a great interpretation of Harley Quinn in relation to her story and how it's told. I think it's good. She's got good camaraderie, good banter between characters. And I thought that, and in terms of how some parts of the stories is told, it's kind of done with this fourth wall perspective from her. And I think it plays into the nature of how chaotic and off the wall she is as a character. And something that I found quite interesting with this film was that they used footage from Suicide Squad and kind of stitched it into this film. But I have to say this though, I couldn't really, for the story that's being told, it's good, but I couldn't really tell you if this is a actual Harley Quinn origin film, because the film kind of hints and adheres to things that have happened to Harley Quinn, but doesn't really go there. Now, the way that this film was marketed to me was never going to be this kind of first-person narrative story that I kind of look for within a film. And that's okay, you know, but, you know, there is this hint of nuns in the film. And I thought, how interesting would it have been to have gone back to that story based on Harley Quinn? I think that would have, you know, that would have whetted my appetite a little bit more. So Margot Robbie, she's good. She leaves no stone unturned. Now, let me just move on to Black Mask as a villain. Now, with this film, it's all there. Everything is there. But Black Mask as a character, and I think that Ewan McGregor as his interpretation, I think he does a really good job. In particular, when things go pear-shaped and a certain item of his is taken away from him, and when he's been broken the bad news, I couldn't help but laugh in his reaction to that moment. But in terms of the way that he's written and in terms of his character arc and his development, I couldn't really tell you if there is any of those things for him in this film. It's just a very simple plot that the film evolves, and that's it. And now I'm not saying that every film can't be like this and it can't be fun, but for him as a villain, he doesn't really have a certain ideology. He doesn't really have a backstory to him. He's just a villain that kind of coexists within this reality, within Gotham. And I think that with me in general, I kind of dislike a character that just kind of exists for the sake of existing. And that's annoying to me. You know, I'm just going to go around and cut people's faces off just because I want to. And the thing is, when a character's that character, with stories that are being told well, they never just wake up one day and think to themselves, fuck it, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want to, and that's it. That's just the way I am. I don't believe that people are like that, you know. Good example, look at Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Look at Todd Phillips and Scott Silver's Joker. He didn't just wake up one day and think, fuck everyone, I'm just going to do what I want to do, right? It was a long, prolonged spiral into insanity with a man that was dealing with his own mental health problems in a society that couldn't understand him on top of that. And that's why it feels earned when it gets to the third act of that film. This, on the other hand, is just a guy. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, there is no difference between Roman Sionis than any of the villains that you've seen in the first two Bad Boy films. I'm not joking. It's to that level. And the only thing that's keeping this afloat is Ewan McGregor's great interpretation of this very eccentric, very crazy man. But in terms of how he's maybe written, there's nothing really there for me that I can latch onto. It's not there. I mean, the film, it kind of in third person talks about how he has this admiration for masks that come from the four corners of the world and like tribes and all this kind of stuff. And I thought there was something there, and maybe the film could have dived in a little bit about that, because that's what I could have found a little bit interesting from my experience, but it never came to me. But I felt like in a warped way, because the film didn't take him too seriously, and in terms of how things end for Roman Sionis as a character, I just kind of sat there, I was like, okay, maybe that's why they didn't really write him too in-depthly, because of the way that things pan out for him at the end of the film, you know. And I was just like, okay, well, okay, then I could just accept that then, because I think it would have been worse then. I think then it would have been worse if we built him up with a character arc of development, and then he departures in the way that he does in the film. That could have been a little bit more, maybe that would have been more annoying. So who knows, maybe this was the right decision with this character. I don't really know, but you know, I still had a fun time with it. I think Black Canary's good. Black Canary's good. Who else is good? And another thing that was keeping this film afloat and it was making it an enjoyable experience for myself was that the character of Huntress, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think she added a lot more depth to the story, you know, because you kind of had Harley Quinn's story, and then you had Huntress's story, and then they were both trying to find the one person, and then it all kind of made sense by the time they'd met at the in culmination in one of the acts, you know. And I thought, you know, that was good. And you know, it's funny, and yes, the film is a hard art. In particular, there's a very well thought out fight scene in this basement, and I thought it was really well done. And just to add more to the action scenes, I think they're done well, but I think I went into this film with my expectations a little bit too high. You know, I don't know why it is, but like the film is, you can tell they're going for one shot in a very wide angle of people fighting, and then they cut to another angle of them fighting. I'm thinking, just keep it one shot, man. You know, I don't like this choppy, changey shit where it brings me out of the film, especially watching films like John Wick, and well, the second unit director is Chad Stahelski, and you could see that he was, with the fight scenes, I felt like he was a little bit up against the grain with these fight scenes in Birds of Prey, because you can tell that there's a more professional manner in the way that the John Wick films are filmed and the way they're shot, because there's no cutting around the edges. Like, you know, all the actors in the John Wick films are completely doing those stunts, whereas in this film, you know that they're going from a wide shot, they're fighting a little bit, and it's got to a point where the actors kind of thought, well, I can't do that, I'll let the stunt double do it, you know, and it takes you out a little bit. But still, I think Chad done an amazing job with the coordinate hand-to-hand fight scenes. In particular, the way that he found, or the way that it was directed with Harley Quinn's bat, I thought that was really good. But all in all, I'm going to just say this, just to wrap it up. I'm going to give Harley Quinn, to wrap up the movie review, and talk spoilers very quickly, wrap up Harley Quinn with a 7 out of 10. I think it's good. If you're a fan of the DCEU, you have to go and check this film out, you know, and give it your support. Look, it's a good time, and I would recommend it for anyone that enjoys going to watch films or movies, and I think you will have a good time with this film. Now, moving on to spoilers. Now, and again, if you haven't seen the film, go and see it. I'm talking spoilers now for anyone that has seen the film. Let's talk about a moment that happens with Black Canary. Now, it's just shit like this in a film that just, for me, it can take me out of it a lot. Now, there's a moment where Roman Sionis, and for whatever reason, he believes that someone is laughing at him in his own club. And he makes a mockery out of this woman and tells her to stand up on this table and take her clothes off and make the boyfriend do it in front of everyone, right? And Black Canary, I don't know what the thought process behind this, you know. And if anyone can, please tell me in the comment section. So this woman's being humiliated, right? And Black Canary, she starts crying. Mistaken me if I'm wrong, wasn't she the character that volunteered to be a part of Roma Sionis' gang? And now, here's the thing. The scene would work for me if Roman Sionis had humiliated Black Canary in a similar fashion to what's happened to this poor lady that's being humiliated on this table, right? And it would then show the audience, you know, that Black Canary's gone through a similar event to this woman, you know. It's a classic thing of, just give me the initiative, you know. And the thing is as well, it would show in the first person narrative for Canary to be flawed as a character. And if we show a moment of Roman Sionis humiliating her, and then we see another person being humiliated, and then we see that moment from Black Canary, then it feels earned. Like, I didn't get that. It really just threw it again. It's just another moment that I feel like it's maybe. It just feels like it's coming off the top of the head, you know. And I can't remember her. I can't remember her name. For the life of me, I can't remember her name. The thief, Asian girl who was a thief in the film. It just again a character that was doing things for the sake of doing them. You know, like, I feel like some films just forget simple English literature. Oh, the 3 whys: who, what, why. With any character, just ask that for any character. And this character, the thief, I don't know, like, she was so unlikable. She's meant to be somewhat of a protagonist in the film. I found her so unlikable. I just couldn't care about her. I couldn't care if Roman Sionis was actually going to capture her and then kill her. I couldn't care. Just based on the way that character is written, I could not give 2 shits what was going to happen to her in the film. I just couldn't care, you know. And was the film making me wanting to feel that way towards that character? I don't know. Probably not. Because it just feels convoluted, you know? It just feels that way. And look, and another thing as well, I don't like to get political and I don't like to talk about this shit. I feel like a film should just remain a film, but, you know, like, when you do things like this in your film, I think you're asking for an argument, I think you're asking for a debate, and which are things maybe the films want or maybe the film doesn't. but I feel like you can piss off a lot of people as well when you do things like this in your film. It's like the top, I shaved my balls for this. Apparently so, that was the only top that Renee Montoya could find. And look, can it be frowned off as a joke? Yes, it can. Of course, I can look beyond that. But, you know, it just feels like it's trying to dig in to the masses of an overall consensus. You know, like, you know, look how much more better we are than, you know, the other gender. You know, you could have just, for all I know, you could have just had a top with a Furby on it. Or, I don't know, just something else. You know, I just feel like when you're doing things like this in your film, you're asking for the argument. And then you're then asking for a part of your audience. Then you have a part of your audience that are not going to gravitate towards the film. So, that wraps up the spoiler talk. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this movie review and the spoiler talk. And for all things comic book related going out throughout the entire year, I will be doing a movie review and spoiler talk. And I might look up to switch it up and do a few live streams for comic book films coming up later on, going into the rest of the year. So guys, click here if you want to see a review for Parasite, which has gone on to win 4 Oscars. Best Director, Best Picture, Best Foreign Film, and Best Original Screenplay, or Best Original Script. Or I might get them mixed up, but check out that review to find out my thoughts there. And check out Richard Jewell, which was another film that I really enjoyed. So guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next review.